All right, so we are live. This is a little bonus session. I have asked Nadia to join us and do
Everyone.
a cold reading for Richard Hart. Nadia, what do you know about this person? What have I told you?
Nothing. I know nothing about him. So after Simon sent me his birth info, I pulled up his chart and full disclosure, while eating my breakfast, looked at it. And then after all of the things that I have figured out about him, I'm like, I should probably Google him, right? And I went to his website and I looked at it for a couple of minutes just to see his picture and what he's about, I guess, in a nutshell. And it just looked like he's a motivational speaker or something like that, or I don't know. He has a bunch of videos, and I'll talk about that, my first impression, at the very end. But I literally knew nothing about him, and I still kind of don't. I don't know who he is.
Okay, but you do know what he looks like then, because you Googled
I
him.
do. Yes,
Okay,
I do know what he looks like now, and I'll talk about that at the end.
okay.
Is that okay?
Yep. Rock and roll, you have the stage.
Okay. I'm not so good at this on the spot, but let's see what comes out. When I look at this chart, the first thing that stood out to me were this person feels like a victim of the world. And the first part of life, let's see, he's not super young. He was born in 79. So
Hey
he's
now,
40.
hey
He's
now,
40.
take it
Yes.
easy.
I know, but from the perspective of Jyotisha, you want the person to be over 30 minimum to talk about his first part of life. So I like to say first part of life, the person will struggle with this or these things. And then after the first Saturn return, which happens around age 30, anywhere as early as 27 to 30, and then also Sati, a couple Satis come around where Saturn transits your moon, you mature as a person. So, and then Saturn also matures as a planet at age 36. So first part of life from the perspective of Jyotisha is until mid-30s. So the lessons that are the harshest in any given chart will be experienced before that. So he's past that, so that's good. It means that he's probably learned a lot of those issues and have been working at them. But first part of life, the person struggles with abandonment and rejection issues. And he feels like the world is not a fair place. It's not a fair place. He feels like a victim of the world. He feels like he gives so much and he can't, he doesn't get reciprocation from the world. Okay, so when the moon or any planet exalted, his moon is exalted. When any planet is exalted, but especially the moon, which represents our internal dialogue, you could say, that the lens we look at the world through, how we digest life experiences. It makes a person be very stubborn at recognizing their own flaws. And so it's going to take a while for that person. So into the second part of life to see it's not the world that is doing to them, but they are the common denominator that is participating in all of the hurts and unfairnesses in the world that are happening to them. And so he has an exalted moon, he has Saturn aspecting it, Saturn and Mars aspect his ascendant Lord Mercury. He has Ketu in the ninth house of the father, which represents somehow the father being absent from his perspective. Subjectively, the father was not available, either literally in person, either they worked too much or they left early on. Or maybe they had an addiction problem, especially because the Lord of the ninth house, Saturn, is also with Rahu, and then Sun is with Pluto, which Sun represents the father. And that's never a good combination for experiencing the sweetness of the fatherly love. And so there are a lot of issues around the father, but also the mother as well, because we have the fourth lord of the mother. The fourth house is the house of the mother. Aspected by Saturn and Mars. Yes, it's with a benefic. That's good. It's in a friendly sign. That's good. But those aspects that are one-sided on the planet, they will make a person feel again like a victim, like they're not seeing it. There's no integration of, I am participating in this. It's my karma. I have chosen or attracted these parents through my past life actions. So it's hard for them to see that first part of life. But also, yes,
let me just say, you're giving some really great Jyotisha insights here, and also for the Jyotishis who are listening, you're getting a bunch of nuggets. So what she said about the one-sided aspect, the person feels blindsided, like they're getting hit not by a jab, which is straight up, but by a hook, which you don't see, and that's what knocks you out. So you're dead on, Nadia. Keep going.
But the reality is, you knock yourself out, but it's hard to see that it's you who is doing it, because our job here in any incarnation is to figure out, I am the creator of my reality. And so with the one-sided aspects, it's harder to see that you are the perpetrator. Even though you might be a victim, you're also the creator of that victimhood. So this chart is very much about victimhood. Ardra people often feel like the world is unfair. Rudra, who is the ruler of the star, it's the fierce form of Shiva, who is the destroyer of the world. He's the god of storms, and he comes around and roars and howls. He's called the howler at the unfairness of the world, at how much the world suffers. And so when Ardra is not integrated in a person, when there are a lot of things happening in the chart where where it contributes to the person's feeling of being a victim, they will feel like everything is unfair. And so the integration point for Ardra people comes in understanding that everything is exactly as it should be. Everything happens because of karma, and karma is created by our own actions, and everything happens with the permission of the divine. And so death and life and suffering is part of the evolution. So, but that's gonna come later in the second part of life. So another thing that we have going on here with the mother is, as you can see here, the fourth house cusp is actually in Leo, even though we have Virgo here, it's in Leo, and it's where exactly Upaketu is. So sorry, one more thing. Even though the moon is, which represents the mother, is exalted, it's in the 12th house. Whenever we have the luminaries, the sun and the moon in Dusthanas, so in the 8 and 12 in particular, there will be some issues with the parents feeling like either the parents suffer and you internalize that suffering, or you suffer on behalf of your parents, either by them abandoning you or beating you or diminishing you somehow. And so there's some kind of curse, like Upaketu and Gulika represent curses. So there's something about both of parents that makes this person feel unwanted in this world.
Okay, I'm gonna just interject. So I didn't know this, but the last session we had, Kshanati shared this with me. He was given up for adoption. So you're right on the money. He was literally abandoned.
Oh, this person, Richard?
Yep.
Boom, like that.
Boom.
You see, the chart doesn't lie, you guys. It's crazy, right? Okay, yeah. So also this chart is for the most part quite exaggerated. The exaggerations happen when we have an exalted planet, a debilitated planet. We have planets on the Rahu Ketu axis. And what's another one? Oh, retrogression. He doesn't have any retrograde planets, so that's good at least. But everything else he does. He has an exalted moon and a debilitated Mars. And he has 2 planets on the Rahu Ketu axis. He also has two outer planets, Pluto and Neptune, that are very much in play. Pluto conjunct one of his luminaries, Neptune opposite his other. This is a big deal, you guys, and they're within orb. You want them to be within roughly a 5-degree orb for them to be in play. And when outer planets are within that orb, they become so powerful and influential that you can either feel like you're a victim of the whole generation, or you can be a generational force that changes many people's lives. So it's up to us to harness that. And usually, again, it comes with age and maturation and such. What was I going to say? So Mars debilitated is the problem. So the problem, for the most part, that I see with this chart is besides feeling like a victim, the person copes with it through mouth-related things. Now, that sounds weird, but there's some sexual things going on. There's some oral fixation. There's some most likely drug use. Just so much going on. So first part of life, the person will somehow, in one form or another, will cope with feeling like a victim. Doesn't even matter for what reason. By consuming something that is not good for them on the one hand, and on the other hand, this person can also punch someone with a word if they really wanted to, and that always comes with inner self-talk being very brutal. And so the person talks shit about themselves, basically, they're constantly bringing themselves down. And so that can come out in a form of being fairly harsh with your words. So the person, again, needs to harness that word and understand that they can be poisonous with their own words. There's also fixation. I keep pushing on the wrong thing. There's also a fixation with talking too. So second lord exalted in the 12th house, debilitated planet in the second house. Then we have also third house of communications. There's Rahu, and there's a malefic. There's an eighth lord there. There's a bunch of things going on here. Mercury's with Uranus, a planet of communications. There is so much that this person needs to communicate out into the world about themselves. They want to be heard more than anything. But in the way I feel and see it is because they're so exhausted from their own inner self-talk that they just, it's almost like it can be a verbal diarrhea, like, listen to me, because as long as they're talking out loud and controlling their words, like almost like in a positive way, they're not hearing their negative self-talk. I know that's kind of deep and maybe a little weird, but that's how I feel it. Does that make sense?
This would be very useful for someone kind of as a tool to help themselves. For us who we're probably never going to meet this person.
Right. Sorry, I'm just doing the usual kind of like.
No. I'm not saying no. You keep going. I'm just kind of giving my kind of commentary because this is what you usually do in a reading, right? And you want to help that person make the best use of their combinations, the best use of their chart. And by the way, we cover all of these combos in the Power Planet Combos course, guys. That's on decodingvedicwisdom.com.
Oh yes, that's gold. That's just gold. It's gonna elevate your chart reading. And even if you're not even an astrologer, you just, as long as you get your own chart and you can see the combos, you will be able to follow it because it's very simple and straightforward.
Super simple class. You don't need to be an advanced astrologer. And yeah, you pointed out I missed Moon Neptune when I did his chart.
And, this is a big deal. Moon Neptune is a big deal. The person will forever feel cheated by the world. They will dedicate a lot of energy, and most likely they will be cheated because they will manifest that like that energetically. but they can sacrifice themselves to an infinitum, especially with that Saturn moon going on. But the problem is because they're delusional, they tend to be delusional. And that delusion comes from idealism. Neptune rules idealism and spirituality. They will basically they could dedicate all of that effort and sacrifice to a wrong cause. That's the problem. And then again, the cycle of I'm a victim, I give so much and nobody gives back, all of that kind of repeats itself. And by the way, this is not judgment. I myself have a lot of these in my own chart. So speaking from the heart here, and if you have that, this is the deal. So just
Well, yeah, you're Ardra moon, right?
Embrace it. Yes, I'm Ardra moon. I also have Neptune opposite my moon. So there are a lot of things that are happening in my chart too. So the thing here also, this person most likely have been molested. There are a bunch of indications here. So this person probably was a victim. And so his job is to heal from within and help others heal once he does. Or not once he does, in the process of healing himself, he can also help others heal. Sun, especially with Pluto in the 4th house, especially 4th Lord in the 5th house, it can often indicate being very good at psychology and working with creating inner and outer environment that is conducive to healing. The deeper you go, the more profound you go, the more powerful it will be. Yeah. Okay, so what do you need from me that's useful for you?
Yes, so now is a question for us. So this person is involved in crypto, and the question is, so that they're the founder of a particular crypto project, and will he be successful? First of all, will his chart, will he profit? And B, the more important question, will the people who invest with him profit?
Okay, well, when it comes to question of success, as you have taught me, it's not just about the yogas, meaning combination in a chart, meaning what is the static potential of your chart given your past life. It's also about the timing, and he's running a pretty decent period of Jupiter right now, since 2007 all the way through, basically for another year, a little over a year. And Jupiter is pretty well placed. It's also very close to a good star, Regulus. It's the 10th Lord. I mean, it's a pretty good placement here. Look at this. Wow, amazing. Once he starts Saturn, it will also coincide with Saturn going into his 9th house here, 10th from the moon, but 9th from the Lagna. So it's going to change dramatically. Whatever he will have been working on will no longer be the thing he's working on. And most likely it will coincide with some sort of failure, subjectively or objectively, so that it drives him to rethink his whole career, his whole contribution to the world, and actually spirituality as well. It will bring him closer to spirituality. But to answer your question, he will be fine until 2023, and then stuff is gonna hit the fan a little bit.
Yeah, particularly Saturn is the 8th Lord, 8th house is away, creates blah. The only thing though is that look at the Jupiter, Rahu, Saturn. Rahu is the yogi, Saturn is the duplicate yogi. And so we get that powerful money yoga, but certainly with lots of scandal kind of.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of drugs involved or something like that, because it's Uttara Falguni, you know, it's touchy-feely kind of thing.
Excess, the Falgunis rule excess.
Yeah, it's the 8th Lord. It's something sexual, druggy, something comes out that helps him basically flush it out. Because, you know, we're always manifesting things, even the negative things in our lives. It's our higher self is basically pushing it. Okay, time to heal now, time to put that behind us. And the more painful, the more powerful basically it becomes.
One thing that I didn't mention when I looked at the chart is that he has one of those rare combos. Jupiter, Rahu, Saturn is a combo for occultism. And
especially as the 10th lord, the 8th lord. Wow. And 9th. Wow.
yes, it involves eighth house and it's angular from the moon. Now, I don't know actually that he's involved in any occultism, but the name of his project is Hex. Hex means
Whoa.
curse.
Whoa.
So
Well, yes, and he
I thought that
feels
was pretty
cursed. In a way, he kind of is cursed. Sorry. That's why he has to be really careful with his words, because every time we say something to someone that is negative, like screw you, man, in a way you are cursing that person. And the reality is it always comes back to you sooner or later. So there's look, he has Upaketu in the 4th house cusp, and he has all of this stuff in the 4th house from the moon. So when the 4th house is afflicted, the person will never feel like they're safe in the world, and there will always be anxiety. They will always feel like there are spirits, demons, things out there to get them. Like there's no safe haven for a person. So yeah. Oh, holy crap, Hex. I got goosebumps everywhere once you said Hex.
By the way, not a judgment. There are many great people who have the Saturn Rahu in the 4th house. It's just that they never feel like
Well, of
it's
course
enough.
not. It's never a judgment. It's just a matter of fact.
It's a motivation, and it depends on what
Yes.
that motivation pushes you to do.
Yes, and the
And some
idea
people
is
have
to
done
go,
great things. Sorry, go ahead.
to go deep. The 4th house is the house of the subconscious mind. And it's connected to the mother because we come from her womb, from the inside of her. So she felt while she was pregnant with us, how she felt when she was breastfeeding us, how she felt when she was holding us in her arms, if she was holding us at all. It basically karmically shapes how safe we feel the world is for the rest of our lives. And if we work on releasing that karma, we cleanse the lineage, and we not only cleanse ourselves, but we just basically make the world a better place. And so the best way to do it is to study psychology, to go deep into the subconscious mind and understand, okay, why is it that I feel so unsafe and such?
You know, this is also why the Hindu gods and goddesses always come in pairs. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva all have wives. What that means is not that there's some man and woman up in the sky that are actually, you know, exchanging rings and getting married. It's a deep inner representation of how the male and the female, the mother and the father, influence a child's psychology. Because when you're a baby, you come into this world helpless. All you can do is cry. You cry when you're hungry, you cry when you're fearful, you cry when you need something, when you cry when you're in pain. That's the only tool you have. And as a child, the mother is everything, right? The mother is your universe. But then as you start growing up, the father comes into it. But to get to the point, when a mother and father argue, or there's yelling and screaming, or one is missing, the child feels that they are responsible. That it's like, why am I not getting the nurturing? I must have done something wrong. And that's why in a kind of the wholesome spiritual philosophy of, you know, of the dharmic traditions, is there is always a male and a female aspect to nurture those two sides of us, so that we feel that the universe is abundant, that the universe is there for us, that we're safe, because that is actually your true nature. That is your true nature. You're 100% safe, nourished, all-knowing, all-seeing. That is your Atman. And so when we come on this earth, we want to replicate that. And the mother and father are the first representations of Shiva and Shakti. So
Beautiful. I love
when a
that.
person is missing that, that's why the ninth house is the father, ninth house is your guru, right? It's the male figure, the male divine, Shiva. And when both the ninth and the fourth house are afflicted, it creates a sense of like exactly what you were saying. And I think
Hopelessness in a way.
yeah. Now, again, this is karmic, right? So this doesn't mean this person cannot do great things.
Of course not. No, in fact, he absolutely can, and he will. And the more challenging periods that we run, and Saturn will be a more challenging period than Jupiter for him, no doubt about that. If we harness that energy for good, it can actually do the magic that our soul really wants us to do that work, that hard work. We come to the human realm to work, not to relax. Relaxation is a bonus, you know. So he can definitely be a very impactful person in this world, no doubt about that. It's just how is he gonna harness that? Is he gonna feel a victim, or is he gonna so one of the things I wanted to share, I think we should kind of wrap up. I'm getting this feeling
Let's wrap
like
it up.
that's enough talking about this person without his permission. We wish you well, Richard, if you ever listen to this recording.
And this is just for our private group. Please don't share this with others. This is intended to be
Of
a
course.
Jyotisha, a lesson in Vedic astrology, just in a very basic outline. Like I've told you what I feel. I'm not going to repeat it here. That was in our other class. I wanted to get Nadia's kind of cold reading, unbiased. You did say you Googled him after you looked, but I still
After I
don't.
looked, I just looked at it very briefly. Right
Yeah, and this
before.
doesn't really actually tell you about, this is one face of it. I think there's
Okay, the one thing that struck me was this is like, so these are some, once you click on the videos on his website right here, this is what it loads here. And if you look at it, to me, when I look at it, it looks like his inner dialogue. Like he's like, men and women are supposed to act differently. Stop gambling and trading, stop gaming, start a business, fix democracy, you know, like be disciplined, be happy. It's like, whoa. It's a very intense person. And to me, this is like a manifestation of his inner dialogue. And if he channels it into motivational speaking and actually following through, not just what I'm trying to say is practicing what he preaches, then he can be an incredible source of wisdom for the world.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the things about people with Guru Chandala Yoga is it's very hard to practice what you preach. You know, knowing this firsthand and having looked at a lot of those charts, it becomes easy to be hypocritical. So there's definitely some challenges there. Okay, thank you, Nadia. You can stop your share. And thank you guys for listening to this. Yes, any final thoughts?
No, I hope this was helpful, and I hope us talking about him, even without his permission, sends the good blessing into his direction, so that it expands that space for his healing. That's what I wish for him and everybody else whom I do readings for.
Hari Om. Okay, decodingvedicwisdom.com. Check out the Power Planning Combos course. It's our best course, the easiest class you'll take on Vedic astrology, but also probably the most insightful in terms of psychological makeup of a person or even a business. And that's it. Happy New Year, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Namaste.